Ladies and boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're doing an XRP video. I know I actually haven't done an XRP video in months now, but I just wanted to touch on it because I have some people that do hold XRP and they have been asking me, hey, what is going on with this token? Can you please do a video? Would love to see your technical analysis on it. And yeah, I am doing an XRP video today. So look, overall, I know this coin is, it's one of the big boys. It was always going to be here to stay, especially now that the SEC and all those lawsuits are cleared up. Yes, the only reason why this coin was not performing the way it was supposed to perform was because of all the lawsuits and all the negative news surrounding it. But ever since Trump won, we have been seeing amazing things surrounding this coin. I mean, we're literally at 125 billion market cap with 2.5 billion volume in the last 24 hours. Okay. Now I'm going to answer a few questions, right? Is this token, done for pumps? Will it continue to pump? What is surrounding this coin, the news, the everything? And first of all, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that XRP is here to stay. Okay. Ultimately, if I was supposed to put it in the most basic way, XRP is the bank coin. The house never loses. Okay. Just think about it this way. This is why I like a coin like Ondo, right? JP Morgan and BlackRock. You think they're going to have this project fail? No, that should just be one of the reasons why even you're thinking about getting into this coin, because this is literally the bank coin. XRP is literally the bank coin. And when crypto becomes more and more mainstream, which it will over the next couple of years, right, this coin is going to be absolutely everywhere. I mean, we could literally see, well, we're fourth place at this moment, right? If we're not counting USDT, we're literally third biggest crypto. And we used to be outside the top 10, right? We used to be outside the top 10. Maybe we were lingering around the top 10. And now we are third. We are literally third. So crazy times. And the crazy thing is, this is a coin that could very well overtake Ethereum. Now, I do think Ethereum will have a decent pump this cycle, which is, we'll talk about that in a different video. But, XRP could very well become the second biggest coin in the entire ecosystem, right? That is how serious and big XRP is. Now, I will say, if we go into price action, we have been printing lower lows and lower highs. If we take away all the wicks, which is all the distraction, we can see that we had a high in the middle of January. Ever since then, we have been printing lower highs, right? We can see the last big green candle was a lower high compared to the ones back in mid to late January. And after that, in early March, we sold off heavy, breaking structure, right? We broke structure. Then when we tried to recover, we just continued to constantly create lower lows and lower highs, right? We can see consistently we are printing lower lows and lower highs. So we are kind of just in a, diagonal channel, in a bearish diagonal channel at this current moment. But this is the type of structure you want to see, because when momentum does shift, I actually will remove this. When momentum does shift, ladies and gentlemen, right, the reason why the structure is so good is because there's a lot of liquidity to get swept, right? This doesn't have to be super perfect as much as the other one, but practically we're in a channel like this, right? I do think XRP will have a little bit of a downwards movement. I do think overall the crypto market should be holding decently. I could definitely see XRP going to $1.90, but I do believe this is going to be your final buying opportunity, right? When we go and just look at basic fundamentals, we have to realize that Bitcoin has shown reversal signals. It has pumped. Now it's going to be chilling. Bitcoin may very well, do some kind of liquidity sweeps, go back to 89K, whatever, go down a couple percent, right? If Bitcoin goes down 3, 4, 5%, which that means XRP will most likely go down roughly 10%, which is perfect into our area, right? Not only are we at a huge support zone, we can see on the daily, right? We tapped here multiple times. One, we have this candle here. You could debate this, right? Here, here, right? We have multiple points of structure, but we also have this nice daily order block candle that's actually just pretty much practically at the zone, just a little bit lower, where we could potentially go down to even $1.85, which is where I would be personally looking to be buying this coin. Because what I believe is going to be happening with this coin is, yes, even, just ignoring the micro moves, because there might be a little bit of micro pullback, whatever, right? We will ultimately be going down here, going sideways, and that's when we're going to be looking to break up and do something like this. Is it going to be exactly like this? I mean, probably not. I'm not a, I just read and know the charts. I can't literally predict the future, but something like this is very, very highly probable, right? Because once we kind of get past this zone and we break through this massive kind of resistance that we're in, that resistance turns into a support, right? So it just makes sense the most fundamental way, with the sentiment turning more bullish for crypto, with there being potential final pullbacks and retests for something like Bitcoin coming back down to 90K, 89K, or whatever it may be, somewhere over here, because there's a very big support and resistance, right? So it coming back down to retest this, even sweep the last daily candle, that would be like a 3% dump. So it's very highly probable that XRP will be coming back down to the $1.95 to $1.85 mark. And for me, that's going to be a nice buying opportunity, because I do not see us going below these levels. I do not see us going and doing something like this. If I could just show you in just 1 second, I don't see us doing something like this, where we just kind of continue the trend before we go up eventually. For me, that doesn't make sense. For me, the worst days are over. When we hit $1.62, that was literally when Bitcoin was almost at 70K, right? I do not see Bitcoin coming back down to those levels. So for me, the better days for XRP are coming, right? For me, that's going to be the best buying opportunity in this zone. Once we do get a breakout, we probably will get some type of pullback to $2.15, $2.10 before we just kind of start, destroying all the levels. You got to remember, there is a lot of liquidity everywhere, right? There's literally all these key points that have liquidity. The markets are designed this way, so it's easier to pump the coins and get to these zones once we turn bullish, right? It's literally designed to be this way. And yes, there will be another huge, massive rally for XRP. I think this coin will do wonders. I believe off of this point, we can probably just easily, sounds crazy, 4x. I do believe we could hit upwards of 600 billion in market cap, which would be roughly XRP sitting at $8 and like 70 cents, $8.60. For me, that is very, very probable. I do believe that will happen. In a world where we have so much money getting pumped in, right? Let's say crypto does go above and beyond, and we do hit that 12 to 16 trillion in total market cap. I do think this coin can definitely even hit $10 at one point, right? But in terms of where I believe it from a more realistic standpoint, right, which is still going to be hard, it will be hitting those couple of dollars, right? Mainly, let's just say 7 to 850 range, right? I do believe once we kind of start reclaiming these zones, right, and whatever happens with altcoin season, I do believe we'll get another consecutive 4 weeks of solid green pumps before we eventually top out, because that is practically what happened, right? When we go, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4 extremely solid green candles, practically, topping out right over here. Sure, we did have an extra little pump after that, but if something similar were to follow, right, if you just use the 4-week green rule, then you should be looking at very, very nice gains, when altcoin season is here. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy XRP Army. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.